Hi guys, welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm making pressure cooker beef pot pie. Alright, I'm starting out in my pressure cooker and I have a bottom round roaster. This isn't a very expensive cut of meat, but in a pressure cooker it doesn't matter because it's going to fall apart tender. And I cut this into 3 pieces. This is roughly about a 2.5 pound to 3 pound roast. And the reason I cut this in 3 pieces is because this will get more tender and cook quicker this way than if I leave it one whole piece. And I have my pressure cooker preheating. We're going to pressure cook this for an hour. Now I'm going to add in 4 cups of water. And if you start to preheat your pressure cooker ahead of time, it helps cut down on the cooking time because you don't have to wait for that to preheat. Now I have 1 onion here I diced up. I'm going to get that down in there. And I diced it right on my parchment paper, guys. It makes it a lot simpler. You just throw your parchment paper away then. Get in here and move my onion around a little bit. Now I have some Better Than Bouillon beef base. You can also use canned beef broth or beef stock. And I have 4 cups of water, and this calls for 4 teaspoons of beef base. And I'm not going to add any salt because this has salt in it. When it's done cooking, if it needs a little more salt, I'll add that in there. And this Better Than Bouillon stuff, this is really good stuff, guys. I made some ham and bean soup last night. I used the ham flavored stuff and it got really good. Alright, that's the last of this. I'll just get rid of the jar. And if I need to add more beef base in, I have another jar in the cupboard. I'll add that in when this is done pressure cooking. Now I'm going to get my lid down on here. I'm going to let this pressure cook for 1 hour. After 1 hour, I'm going to let it do a natural release of the pressure for 10 minutes. After my 10 minutes, then I'll release the rest of the pressure manually. Right now that my beef is done pressure cooking, I have it out here on a plate. I'm going to cut it up. I have a 12-ounce bag of frozen peas and carrots. I'm going to dump them in there. And I tasted this for seasoning. I had to add in about a teaspoon of salt. It's all a matter of personal preference. And I have some red skin potatoes here I diced up. You could also use russet, but I like the red skin because you don't have to peel them. I'm going to get them down into the pressure cooker. And I'm going to set this to pressure cook for 10 minutes. And I'm letting it warm up a while. And while that's warming up, I'm going to cut up my beef into small pieces and I'll get it back in there. And I'll let that pressure cook for 10 minutes. Alright, while my vegetables pressure cook in a pressure cooker with the beef that I returned back, and we're going to make the pot pie dough. In a large bowl I have 2 eggs that I scrambled. I'm going to add in 2 teaspoons of salt, and I'm just eyeballing this. I'm also going to add in a cup of milk. And I'm just going to give that a quick stir to get everything mixed together. And I'm going to add in 2 cups of flour. And if you need to, you can add a little more flour in if your dough is too tacky. Give that a stir with my fork. Yeah, it's going to need a little more flour. Let me stir it up quick to get all that flour incorporated into the liquid. And guys, my beef pot pie over here, the beef broth with the vegetables in it and the beef, it's smelling really good. Right, let me add a little more flour. That's about a 1/2 cup. And you just want to add flour till it gets the right consistency, like a dough consistency that you can handle without it being all tacky and sticky. So we'll throw another 1/2 cup of flour in. So we're at 3 cups of flour. And we're going to need a little more flour, guys. This is thirsty. About 3.5 cups. And we're starting to get where we want to be. Alright, let me get my rolling pin and then we'll roll this out and start to make the pot pie squares. Alright, on a cutting mat here that I have some flour on, I floured my rolling pin. We're going to roll this out. And you know I went wrong, guys. I threw in a cup of milk. I should have put in a half a cup of milk. That's why I called for all that extra flour. But it'll still be good. So you just want to get your pot pie dough all coated in flour so you can work with it. A little more flour on my rolling pin because it's starting to stick on me. Just want to keep this well floured. A little more flour in there. And I moved my pressure cooker over here to the side so I could work on the stove top here. You just want to roll this out nice and thin. Okay, that's looking good. I'm going to take a knife and I'm just going to cut these into little pot pie squares. Now I have a cookie sheet over here with some parchment paper on it. I'm going to transfer my pot pie dough over to it and keep making pot pie dough until I get a decent amount. Alright, now that my 10 minutes are up and I did a quick release of the pressure, I set this on saute so it comes up to a boil. I'm going to start adding my pot pie squares in. And you don't want to overlap these because they'll stick together and make a mess. You want to get a little bit of liquid in between them. And Dexter's happy that we're having beef tonight, aren't you, Dexter? You just want to drop your pot pie in here. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to get all my pot pie down in here. I'm going to let this come up to a boil and let it cook for a few minutes to cook that pot pie through, probably for about 10 minutes because I rolled it thin. And the flour on the pot pie will help thicken this up as it cooks. Alright guys, this is done. It only took about 8 minutes. I went in and I tested it to make sure the pot pie was tender. You can see I got it all nice and thick. And I added a little bit of fresh parsley in while it was cooking. This is ready to go. Let's go ahead and fix up a plate and see what we got. Alright guys, let me get in here and give this a try. I'll start with a piece of that beef first. Nice and tender. Picked up that beef broth, beef paste we put in. Try some pot pie. Tender. Good flavor. Gravy's good. See, our potatoes are nice and tender. They're not mush. Hot. That's really delicious, guys. If you want to take an easier route, you can buy the pre-made pot pie squares. It's dry pasta. It won't taste as good, but definitely will be easier. Alright, there you have it. Pressure cooker beef pot pie. Give it a try. Thanks for watching. And guys, please share my videos across your Facebook page. And until next time, I'll see ya.